serious, serious doubts about religion. And those thoughts still stick with me today. That moment I can remember. Backseat of my mother's car, backseat, right side, I remember the moment.
Wow.
Exactly, okay? My daughter looks exactly like my wife. But when she opens her mouth, Daddy comes out to play. And she has been non-religious. She has been an atheist since she was about 6 years old.
Right. So you don't think there's not going to be any pressure to give her a bat mitzvah or anything like that?
We have asked her if she wants one.
Right.
She says no.
Interesting.
And she's not going to get one.
Now, you mentioned Camp Question, that there were other atheists, but other atheist children can get together. I'm just wondering, does she have theistic friends? Does she have believers as friends?
Oh yeah.
And what's that experience like when she?
It sometimes can get tough.
Yeah.
Okay, because her theistic friends, and it's not so much the friends; it's the kids in school.
Gotcha. That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, the kids in school give her the same pablum that their parents teach them. If you're not a Christian, you're going to hell.
Right.
And of course she comes to me with that, and she is very adept at saying, well, why did God make hell? Why am I going to hell? I'm a nice girl just because why did God make hell if He loves me? And she's got some very good retorts to that, and we have told her not to push atheism. School is not a place for you to make enemies. And when you're talking about 10, 11-year-old kids, I have a very, very strong opinion against preaching to other people's children. I do not preach to other people's children.
Proselytization generally is kind of unattractive.
It's awful, and it's so lowbrow, and I can't stand the whole concept of preaching to other people's children, and that goes all the way down to my daughter. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't want my daughter recruiting other people's children.
Yeah, it's really tacky.
It's beyond tacky. It's gross.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. It's base.
Just to stick with the proselytization thing for a second. I've mentioned before that as a member of New York City Atheists, we do tabling in front of the Time Warner Building during the warm weather on Saturdays. And what we have of course we have a sign New York City Atheists, but what we have are signs along each side of the booth that says separation of church and state. So people come up to us, sometimes the believers will come up to us and ask us if we're trying to convert people to atheism. And no, that's not what we're doing. What we have to sell is separation of church and state. So I just don't think that you should have to be trying to sell atheism. I think that's just low, like you say, it's lowbrow. It is,
and I don't want her doing it. I will tell you a good separation of church and state story about Rayanne, my daughter. She was going to a public school last year. She goes to public school. Last year they had Arbor Day, and the mayor of the town came to the school, and the mayor of the town brought with him a preacher. And the preacher got up in front of the public school, required attendance, and invited all the children to thank Jesus for the trees. And my daughter stood up and walked out.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old was she?
10.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And what that means, everybody knew what she did. Everybody knew why she did it. And when I complained to the mayor, I got a letter. Of course, I went straight to the principal, and I went straight to the mayor. And I got written letters of apology from both of them, because when a kid knows what the lines are, and she knows, because she's my kid, she knows that the worst thing to do when you see the law being broken is to sit quietly and silently by. And that way they can say, well, nobody objected. Okay? Right. As soon as she got up and walked out, and then they made her sit back down. She went to go leave, and they made her sit back down. And it was over. By that time, it was over.
Right.
But as soon as she got up, she knew that she had made the statement that somebody was complaining. It was a kid who was complaining, and it was a kid who was forced to attend this.
You can't get more blatant a violation than that.
You can't get more blatant a violation. And I got assurances, and I got, there's no lawsuit. I'm not going to sue anybody, but that ain't
And there were no repercussions against her.
None. None. And you know what? She is prepared for that. She is prepared.
I was going to say,
with a minority.
Her dad being who he is, I would imagine she can hold her own in an argument.
She can hold her own. She has argued against me many, many times, and sometimes she actually wins. And she is fully cognizant of where she stands. She does not preach to her religious friends. She has many religious friends. Those religious friends come to our house.
Yep.
I never preach to them.
No.
Never, ever. And or preach to other people's children.
So when they come to your house, they're just kids being kids.
Yeah.
Have a good time.
Yeah. And you know, they eat, and we make sure, you know, I have some of her friends are Indians, are Hindus.
Oh, yeah.
So they're vegetarians.
Yeah.
We make sure we have food for them.
Excellent.
You know, and that's cool. It's all right. And it doesn't hurt. And one of the things that we did when we were bringing Rayanne up, one of the things that I did, you know, to bring her up is, first of all, I always refer to God in the lowercase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I always make sure that she understands that it's not a God versus atheism thing. It's a God versus God versus God versus God versus God versus atheism. There's a whole bunch of gods, thousands and thousands of gods. And in this area, there's really only 3 or 4 that most people pray to, but we don't pray to any of them. And everybody who prays to a God disagrees with everybody who prays to any other God.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that I did was make sure that we have a distinction in our family about God versus a God.
Right.
Okay? I have a God in my house. It was a present from my wife. My wife bought me a God. Okay?
Which God was that?
I believe it's Neptune.
Ah.
Okay? And have you ever been to my house?
No, I have not.
Well, you got to come to my house. It's a beautiful sculpture of a God blowing wind onto a ship. Okay? It's a God.
Neptune, right.
Yes.
That's I think that's a Roman god.
Yeah, Roman. I keep getting confused.
Well, no, Hephaestus is the Greek version of it, I believe.
But there's no Roman, there's no differentiator on the side.
No,
So
it's a different name.
It's a God blowing wind into a sail of a ship. And I always refer to it as a God. Okay?
Right.
Do we pray to it? No, it's metal.
No.
It's metal in shape. Some guy made it.
Right.
Okay? But I'll give a shout out to Cameron Harvey if he's out there. He's the artist who made it. But if you put things into a common noun perspective, make sure that they understand that it's not a one or another type of situation.
And I think to generally understand that it's a symbol, and that's all it is. It symbolizes. It's a metaphor. It stands for something, but it's not supernatural.
No, I did an interview on the Catholic channel on Sirius Radio a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about this movement of this big statue, okay, and it's a Catholic channel, so they were talking about all this, and I said something moderately negative about the statue, and he said, "You can't say that about her. That's the Virgin Mother," and I said, "That's not the Virgin Mother. It's metal and plaster in the shape of a woman that may or may not have existed, but even if she did, you don't know what she looked like. Right. Okay, this is not the Virgin Mother. It's a statue.
She was no white girl, that's for sure."
Well, right, right. So, I mean, my point is that, yeah, it's a symbol. It's a symbol of it's just a symbol that people make. Right. And I made it clear to my daughter, and my wife bought this for me, that people make God. People make God.
And that's absolutely true. What more concrete proof could you have?
That's it.
You know,
people make
literally
God.
In this case, literally.
Literally.
Yeah.
And she got it.
Yeah.
And she got it. We have it at the top of the stairs. And I used to take her to bed when she was like 4 or 5 years old, and she'd say, "Good night, God." and then we'd have fun with it. We'd poke it in the eye.
Oh,
we'd
my.
poke it in the eye. Oh no, the God's got to get us. We would have fun with it.
Well, fantasy is healthy for children.
It is.
You know,
it is. She believes in God, and she believes in Peter Pan.